Welcome back. It is the Mastidane, still sniffing lies. Let's talk about the scariest phrase in American politics. 34 felony convictions. Ooh, that sounds like cartel stuff, right? Human trafficking ring, armed robbery spree, maybe a bunker in the woods. Nope. 34 bookkeeping entries. That's it. That's all. So what am I talking about? Well, something that has the vast majority of Americans, something they have no understanding about, like zero. But we all hear from the lunatic left that Donald Trump is a convicted felon. Oh, good God, 34 felonies. But if you ask them what those charges were for, you'll hear it all. I mean, sex trafficking, money laundering, classified document stealing, mother raping, father stabbing, father raping. I mean, like Trump was sitting there on the Group W bench that's reserved for the hardened criminals, the moral degenerates, the dangerous ones. Yeah, he's sitting there for being a litter bug. Well, no, that's something different. That's Alice. You all remember Alice. Song is about Alice, but we're not there. We're in Trump's case. So not really a litter bug, but for not putting legal payments under the right category. Yep, that's what those 34 felonies were all about. So here's what actually happened. And people need to have this knowledge because, well, knowledge is power. And so are big teeth. Yep, big teeth, that's power. All right. So Donald Trump was convicted in New York of 34 counts of falsifying business records. What were those counts exactly? Well, they were invoices, ledger entries, checks reimbursing his attorney Michael Cohen. Yeah, 34 pieces of paperwork relating to reimbursing $130,000 paid to Stormy Daniels under a non-disclosure agreement. We're going to call that an NDA. They happen all the time. They're not against the law. It's just basically shut the frick up. Here's some money. Just carry on. But you know what? That $130,000 doesn't even compare to the $850,000 Bill Clinton had to pay to Paula Jones in 1998 to settle her sexual harassment lawsuit. I mean, she took him to court, and he had to pay $150,000. So Trump's attorney was kind of like, I'm just going to give her $130,000 so she shuts the hell up. And they made an agreement. She took the money. So going back to those 34 felony counts Trump was charged with, they had nothing to do with an affair or consensual sex or even assault. Nope. No. Those 34 indictments were for accounting classification. Yeah, accounting. But here's the magic trick. This is where it gets like, where do you see the ball? Where is it? Look under which cup? So in New York, falsifying business records is normally a misdemeanor. I mean, for anybody else, it's a misdemeanor, a paperwork issue, a slap on the wrist territory. Payments were recorded as legal expenses. Prosecutors now, those Trump haters, argued that the description was intentionally false and designed to conceal another alleged crime. Yeah. Remember, we're talking about $130,000 NDA. Yeah, we can call it hush money. Yeah, that's what it is. It's kind of like, we'll agree to disagree, and you stop trying to ruin my marriage and my presidential run. And ironically, Stormy Daniels went public and admitted she lied and that the affair never happened. And then all of a sudden, her amnesia went away and she changed her mind and said, yep, yeah, it did happen. It did. I signed that under duress that it didn't happen. Oh my gosh, good Lord, people. Alright, so going back to the magic trick. Turning a misdemeanor into 34 felonies. That can only be done if prosecutors argue it was done to conceal another crime. Yeah, that's the elevator, folks. That's how you go from a clerical dispute to 34 freaking felonies. And it's not 34 separate crimes, because that's, you ask any lunatic freaking liberal out there, yeah, 34 times, yeah, 34 crimes. Yeah, that's what most people think. It's 34 documents tied to the $130,000. But 34 felonies, that makes better headlines than disputed accounting categories. Well, that's a hard word. Whatever. You know the thing. Yeah. Now, let's talk timing, because that's really important. Trump announces he's running for president again. Biden panics. And at a press conference, he revealed the tell.
The entire genesis of that G7 conversation was tied to your predecessor, who is about to launch another campaign. So how do you reassure them if that is the reason for their questioning, that the former president will not return, or that his political movement, which is still very strong, will not once again take power in the United States?
Well, we just have to demonstrate that he will not take power by, if he does run, making sure he, under legitimate efforts of our Constitution, does not become the next president again.
Yeah, let me read that comment to you. Blah, 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 blunder, bumble. Yeah, you think so? Okay, wait, hold on. We just have to demonstrate that he will not take power. Blah, 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 blah. If he does run, blah, 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 I'm making sure he, under legitimate efforts of our Constitution, does not become the next president again. Boom. There is the tell, right there. Make sure Trump does not become the next president again. Bam. Throw everything at him. He said it. And the corrupt deep state tried their best. So right away, we get this civil case. Not a criminal case, mind you, with E.G. Carroll. Like, oh, he raped me in the dressing room. Yeah, because that bullshit would have fallen apart in seconds. But you know what? Branding him liable for sexual abuse hits the news cycle during a campaign season. Oh yeah, and everybody ran with that. Yeah, he's a convicted rapist. Oh my gosh, you idiots. Okay, so let's go. A lunatic liberal civil jury who already hates Trump. Yep, guilty. Let's give him like $100 billion trillion. Let's give her, not him. Let's give her $100 billion trillion. Yeah, for something that never happened. Then the classified documents case. Then the NDA case. Yeah, remember Stormy Daniels. And the crazy leftist judge who said, oh gosh, this one, I could go on and on with this one. He overvalued his Mar-a-Lago property at $18 million. Oh my gosh, yeah. Some moronic leftist judge agreed that Trump overvalued his freaking billion-dollar property at $18 million to defraud the banks who loaned him the money. Yeah, I don't think so. Oh my gosh. I could go on and on about this. It's just sheer stupidity, and people believed it. I mean, I was begging my producer, come on, we can scratch up $18 million. Yeah, let's buy that. Yeah, we all knew that was BS. And they threw all of this. They threw at Trump to stop him from being president of the United States again, and they were afraid, and for very good reason. They should have been freaking afraid. All right, so let's go back to the Stormy Daniels hush money, because Alice. You remember Alice? That's what this is all about. That was going to be the race in the hole. Arrest him. Bring him in for this mugshot. Ha! Look at that mugshot. I think that gained him more votes. That was incredible. They charge him with 34 felony criminal counts and for mismanaging $130,000 NDA agreement. Basically, each payment that was misclassified was considered a felony. You got that? Do you really understand that? That's what that was. Then the trial, the conviction on May 30th, right in the heat of an election year, and then the sentencing, which, by the way, was an unconditional discharge. So no jail, no probation, no fine, because really the punishment wasn't incarceration. I think they knew that if they put Trump in jail, oh gosh, the freaking world would explode. But the punishment was the label, felon. Felon. I mean, we hear it all the time, oh, Trump's a convicted felon. Oh my gosh, and they have no idea what they're even talking about. Because optics are oxygen in politics. Now stack the pattern. Let's go back a bit. Clinton's email server, classified info on a private server, bleach bit deletions, smashed devices. The FBI, the FBI said she was extremely careless, no charges, no reasonable prosecutor. Oh my gosh. Opposition research funded by the Clinton campaign becomes the Steele dossier. That's going to get Trump. Yeah, let's have this big made-up thing. Oh gosh, federal surveillance applications. Later we find out FISA process had serious errors. That's what they call serious errors, but those were like freaking criminal errors. But no indictment for her. Nope. She's running for president against Trump. No indictment for her. And then the next term Trump runs again. Mar-a-Lago is raided. Multiple jurisdiction filing charges. Civil verdict branding. 34 felony spectacle. Yeah, that's what it was. A freaking spectacle. And we're all told this is coincidence. Coincidence that legal creativity peaks when the political threat peaks. Coincidence that escalation aligns perfectly with electoral viability. Coincidence that the only political figure in modern history to face this many simultaneous prosecutions, those are big words too, I nailed them, is the one establishment that they call the existential threat. Yup, Trump was the existential threat. I mean, come on, I'm just a black dog. I probably couldn't even find a hydrant at the DMV to pee on, let alone lead my producer Daniela to the dog tag licensing place. Yeah, I'm evidently just that stupid. But what I do know is when every lever moves at once, civil, criminal, federal, state, media, it doesn't smell like a paperwork enforcement. It smells like motive. And no, you don't need a memo titled Get Trump. Institutions don't send those out. They send indictments. 34 of them. So now, when some pink-haired freaking lunatic that's fallen into a tackle box screams in your face about Trump's 34 felony charges, you can ask them, with a bit of knowledge now, what those 34 felonies were all about, and I'll bet my last Scooby snack they'll have no idea. But now you know. Okay, today's educational class is complete. I am the Mastidane, and you can find me on Facebook Reels, YouTube, and Rumble. And as always, I am still sniffing lies, still biting the narratives, and still guarding my human